All right, everybody, welcome to the video for lesson number 7 on simplifying square roots. So your homework assignment tonight has a couple questions where I'm just asking you, do you know the skill? And then we'll apply that skill to some of our geometry questions like we did in class. So the first question says the square root of 60. So use that calculator, figure out that perfect square that goes into 60. All right, so we're trying to figure out a perfect square that goes into 60, so that would be 4, and it multiplies to 15. The perfect square of 4 then simplifies to 2, so I have 2 square roots of 15. For 54, again, we're using that calculator, trying to find the largest value that goes in, so that would be 9 and 6. Square root of 9 becomes 3, so 3 square root of 6 is your final answer there. Now, when the numbers start to get bigger, we have kind of a problem, because sometimes some of these numbers can actually have more than one value that can be a factor of the number we're trying to simplify. So if you take 194, for example, you could divide that by 4. You could divide 192 by 16. Right? There's a lot of different numbers you could divide it by, but the one that we want to use here, all right, is 64, because it's the biggest one. 64 goes in 3 times. All right, so when you make that list, you want to work backwards. Square root of 64 becomes 8, so I have 8 square roots of 3. 125, that one's not too bad. It's just 25 and 5. Square root of 25 becomes 5, so there's your answer. When there's a coefficient in front, remember we just kind of let them hang out, and then we simplify like normal. So 24 has factors of 4 and 6. Square root of 4 becomes 2. And then we just multiply those two together, so we have 6 square roots of 6. 252 is another one of those big numbers, so we're trying to figure out, what's a value that goes into that, right? So 4 goes into it, 9 goes into it, but the number that we want to use is 36, because it's the biggest one. Square root of 36 becomes 6, and then we just have to do 17 times 6, which is 102. So now let's apply these skills to some questions that deal with geometry. So number 2 tells us that we have a rhombus. Remember, when you're labeling your shape, just go in order A, B, C, D. It says the diagonals are 6 and 12. So that means they're going to get cut in half to 3 and 3 and 6 and 6. Because remember, the diagonals are both perpendicular and bisecting of each other. And it says determine the perimeter. We did a question just like this in class. So I'm going to do 3 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. I'm going to use that Pythagorean theorem and just look at this one triangle, ignore the rest of the picture, to find the missing side. Well, if I do that, I get 45 is equal to x squared. Square root of 45 then becomes x. And since it says simplest radical form, I want to simplify that. So that's 9 and 5. So 3 radical 5. Now, 3 radical 5 is the length of every single one of these sides. Remember, in class we said when we're adding up radicals, we're figuring out how many of them do I have. So I have 12 radical 5s. So that would be my perimeter. Number 3 says that we have square SQUA. That's not a square. So if we make a square, label it SQUA. Notice I'm going around the square. It says each side length is 5. And it wants us to find the diagonal SU. This is just like the baseball question that we did in class with the feet of the distance between the 2 bases and all that stuff. So I'm going to do 5 squared plus 5 squared equals x squared. So that's 50 equals x squared. Smaller number than what we did in class. Square root of 50 equals x. And then I know from what we did in class, we could just take the 25, that's a factor, or use your calculator, and we have 5 square roots of 2 equals x. That's our final answer for the length. That's it. Quick and easy homework assignment, hopefully easy homework assignment. All right, tomorrow in class we'll start talking about the more advanced proofs that we'll have to do, and we'll try and finish up this unit coming up soon. All right, get ready for your test next week. Good luck with your homework.